friends, are you ready to do some gardening with Mrs. Ryder? Wonderful. Well, Mrs. Ryder has brought out some different food items. Can you see them? I have an orange. I have a tomato. I have a potato. And I have cucumber. Now, one of these items on my cutting board is a vegetable, and the rest of my items are actually a fruit. Can you guess which one is a vegetable? You got it, the potato is a vegetable. It's actually a type of vegetable that grows on underground stems, and we call it a tuber. Now, the other items Mrs. Ryder has are all fruits. Now, we know an orange is a fruit, right? And it grows on an orange tree. But we also have the tomato that many people think is a vegetable, but it's actually a fruit. And the way a tomato is going to grow is it's going to grow tall, and it needs support because the tomato fruits get very heavy and it makes the plant lean over, and sometimes the plants can get damaged. So it needs to have support, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then my other fruit here is my cucumber. And cucumbers, they grow and need a lot of space because the stems, as they are growing, they're going to spread out very far, and so they grow close to the ground and they need lots of room. So we are going to actually plant some of our seeds today. So whatever fruits and vegetables that you have at home that you would like to give this a go, grab it, and we have to have our adult help us because we are going to be using a knife to cut. All right, so Mrs. Ryder's going to start with our cucumber. Do you like to eat cucumber? Me too. And the cool thing about cucumbers is that we eat other things that come from cucumbers as well, like pickles. Did you know a pickle is a cucumber? It is. And if you like relish on hot dogs or hamburgers, that also comes from a cucumber. So cucumbers are super delicious. Now Mrs. Ryder is going to cut a piece of the cucumber. And if you look, you can see that there are seeds inside. And we're going to take out some of those seeds so that we can plant them. So I'm just using my knife, cutting out the littlest part in the middle that has a cluster of the seeds, and then we are going to plant them. So Mrs. Ryder is going to use this pot here, and I already have dirt in my pot. And then I'm going to just kind of break apart my seeds, just like that. Perfect. And then we're gonna need to cover up the seeds with more dirt. But Mrs. Ryder doesn't want to get my hands dirty with dirt just yet because I'm still cutting our fruits, right? All right, so those were our cucumber seeds. We put the cucumber seeds in there, and then you can also save some for a snack. And then now we're going to do our tomato. So Mrs. Ryder's gonna cut the tomato right down the middle. Can you see all those pretty seeds in there? Do you like tomatoes? Tomatoes are delicious too. Some people like to just eat tomatoes just like that, like they're biting into an apple. Other people like to slice tomatoes to put on top of other foods like salads. And tomatoes actually also make something else that we eat, ketchup. Did you know that? So if you like ketchup on your food, that comes from a tomato. So Mrs. Ryder's going to use a different pot, and I have dirt in there. This is an old pot that was actually given to me by one of my former students. It says, "Thank you for helping me grow," and on the back it says, "Love Easton." And I have kept this pot and used it for different things, and today we are using it to put our tomato seeds in. All right, so the best way for Mrs. Ryder to get to the tomato seeds is to just kind of slide them in there with my knife, or you can use a spoon or a toothpick or your hands. But the size of the pot Mrs. Ryder has, I'm only going to be putting about 6 seeds in here. So I just took the whole first row and put the seeds in my pot. Now again, I'm gonna need to cover up that with dirt, and I'm gonna need to spread the seeds apart a little bit because tomato seeds, they like to have their space. Tomato plants like room to grow. So we are planting them here, and then when they sprout, which they grow fairly quickly, when they sprout, eventually we'll have to move them to a new home that would look like this, and it has a cage built around it, so as the tomatoes grow and they start getting heavy, then they can lean against the tomato plant cage and they won't fall over, and then your tomatoes won't get harmed, right? All right, so we have our cucumbers and our tomatoes that just need to be covered with dirt and given water, and you can use water from your sink or your hose, it doesn't matter. And there you have those. Mrs. Ryder has put some herbs in here. This was given to me for my birthday by my sister-in-law, and so I've had it for a little over 6 weeks, and I planted basil and cilantro, and then the other herb was thyme, and it didn't grow very well, but my cilantro and my basil are growing great. So the seeds were planted. After several weeks, we started seeing sprouts, and now they're getting bigger and almost ready to transplant. When we transplant them, we put them in a bigger pot so they have more room to grow, right? Just like when you get too big for your clothes, you've got to get bigger clothes. When your shoes are too small, you got to get bigger shoes. So we need space, and that's what these guys need. So here, this herb right here is called cilantro that we use in our salsa. Eventually, it's going to grow like this. Isn't that cool? And it gets really big, and then we just take scissors and we cut off the pieces we need so that we can use it when we're cooking. And I also have mint that we started as well. So you can grow lots of different things in your own little garden that you can use to eat and munch on. Now my potato, something really cool about the potato is that I can also grow a potato. Now on the potato, there are these little grooves and bumps. We call those eyes of a potato. And if I have a big potato like what Mrs. Ryder has, I'd have to cut that in half, and cut it in half again, and then cut it in half again. And now I can also plant these. You have to let them dry. It takes several days for them to dry out, and you need an eye on the part that you're planting. But once it's dried out and you have your eye, you can plant it down and you can see what happens too. Isn't that cool? All right, we have one more thing to look at. Slide those over, and that is taking scraps of your vegetables when you're all done and putting them in a compost. Now you can make a big compost or you can make a miniature compost, and that's what we're doing. We're calling this a soilarium because we are going to be putting soil inside of a mason jar and using some extra soil here just like that. And Mrs. Ryder would want to keep filling it up. And then I'm going to put some food scraps in there. So let's say that I have a yummy orange for lunch. And then I have leftover orange peels that I'm not going to eat or do anything with. Normally we would just throw these where? In the trash, right? Some people put them down their garbage disposal, but what we can do is we can put them in our little compost, and they are actually going to do something called decompose. And decompose just means that they're going to break down, and eventually after several weeks, sometimes months, everything in your jar will then turn back into soil that you can use when you're gardening. Isn't that neat? Now when you're adding your soil in here, and then you are going to add some of this, just like that. And then I'm adding my food scraps, and then I would add some more soil on top of that. Perfect. And then this is where you can have lots of fun, is you can go pick some pieces of grass, old leaves, you can break them up, and you're gonna put them on top of your soil, just like that. And then you could add more food scraps and dirt, and then you're gonna need a lid to close it up, and you're gonna need to poke some holes in your lid. But Mrs. Ryder's lid has a straw hole already in it because this is a cup that we use to drink out of with a lid and a straw. So I don't have to poke any holes and it's ready to go. And now I can actually mark where my soil is, and over time, keep watching. And instead of my dirt being way down here, after several weeks, my dirt's gonna keep growing. After several months, the whole entire jar is going to be filled with soil that I can use again. Isn't that cool? When you get all of your stuff in it and you're ready to add water, it's better if you use pond water or rainwater, something that has microorganisms in it that is going to help your solarium and help the decomposition. Isn't that cool? All right, well, thank you, friends. Oh, I want to show you one more thing. These are also green onions. We bought them at the store, and when we were done, we cut the bottom parts off, put it in the jar, and this is how much they have grown in about 3 weeks. And these are the cool roots. And so we just stuck it in a jar with water, put it outside, and let it do its thing. And that's something else that you can do at home that's super fun to watch and grow as we are using our theme of changes. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. See you later.